See, Mr. Chair, we're now streaming live on YouTube.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Richmond Hill. I would ask that we would start this evening's meeting with the reading of the preamble, please.
Today's Committee of Adjustment meeting is hereby held as an electronic meeting in light of the current COVID-19 emergency. The COVID-19 emergency is the emergency declared by the Province of Ontario pursuant to Order in Council 518-2020, Ontario Regulation 5020 on March 17th, 2020, and by the City of Richmond Hill on March 20th, 2020, under the provisions of Section 701 and Section 41 of the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act. The Committee of Adjustment is authorized to hold this meeting electronically as a tribunal under the Statutory Powers and Procedures Act in accordance with the Hearings and Tribunal Proceedings Temporary Measures Act. Due to efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19 and to protect all individuals, city facilities are not presently open to the public to attend Committee of Adjustment meetings. The Committee of Adjustment for the City of Richmond Hill has been appointed by Council to consider applications for minor variance and consent in accordance with the Planning Act. The committee's decision may be appealed to the Ontario Land Tribunal. All appeals and associated fees must be filed directly with the Secretary-Treasurer in accordance with the Planning Act. To be notified of an Ontario Land Tribunal hearing, you must request a copy of the committee's decision in writing. Written comments. The public may submit written correspondence regarding agenda matters by email to committeeofadjustment@richmondhill.ca. All written correspondence received by 4:30 p.m. today has been provided to the committee electronically. Electronic delegations. Delegates are reminded to please mute your microphone or phone and turn off video until it is your turn to speak. Please make sure your microphone is not muted when you begin speaking. If members do not have questions or after all questions have been asked, your delegation is over. Please sign off of Zoom or hang up the phone once the committee has made a decision on your application. You can watch the rest of the meeting on our live stream. And the clerk may remove any delegate who does not sign off of Zoom.
Thank you. Our Secretary Treasurer is Mrs. Jamie Hope Herman, and our Assistant Secretary Treasurer is Ms. Linda Asikas, and assisting us this evening from our Planning Department is Ms. Sarah Moder. Do we have any conflicts of interest this evening, gentlemen? I see none. And do we have any requests for adjournment or withdrawal?
To you, Mr. Chair, we have none.
In that case, I will call our first application, which is application A07021 at 140 Center Street West. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. And our applicant, you may go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are you able to hear me okay?
We can hear you. Yes, thank you.
Okay. I've got a presentation ready. I'm going to try and share my screen. I have 3 monitors, so I'm not going to guarantee you're not going to get pictures of my kids, but we'll see. Oh, Jamie, it says that the host has disabled screen sharing.
We can see a presentation here. I guess maybe our secretary's doing that.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, let's see. Okay, let's go. Sorry. My apologies. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so name is, as you know, Deb Alexander. I'm with Alexander Planning, representing the owner of property at 140 Center Street West. We could get the next slide, please. Okay, This property is located on the south side of Centre Street. It's east of Trench Street, north of Major Mackenzie Drive West, and it's currently undergoing a site plan approval process. The owner has undertaken renovation of the property to update the facade and improve the overall appearance of the home. Next slide, please. Thank you. So prior to the renovation, the property included an existing carport attached to the front of the house and extending approximately 5 meters into the front yard. That carport had a front yard setback of 13.6 meters, which you can see it's circled here. If you could switch the slide again, please. Thank you. So as part of these renovations, the existing carport was removed. It was replaced by a new side-facing two-car garage in that same general location. The zoning bylaw 37190 permits garage projections into the front yard of up to 2.1 meters. The previous carport predated that bylaw, so it wasn't subject to that provision. The intent of the provision is to ensure the streetscape is not dominated by garage doors. The front wall of the new garage projects beyond the main wall of the house by 6 meters, but it has a front yard setback of 12.6 meters. I've circled that there. This maintains a really large setback to the front lot line. So in addition, this garage is side facing. So the garage door actually faces the interior lot line, not the front of the property. The sidewall of the garage, which you can see there on the lower right, which faces the street, features some windows and cladding which match the existing home, presenting a well-designed and thoughtful elevation and improving the overall streetscape. All the other zone standards are adhered to. The requested variance is minor in nature and desirable for the use of the property, maintains the intent and purpose of the OP and the zoning bylaw, and as such, the variance meets the 4 tests of a minor variance and is appropriate for approval by the committee. And of course, I'll be pleased to answer any questions which committee or members of the public might have, and thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 140 Centre Street West?
Chair, we have none.
And do we have any further comments from planning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? Mr. Duretzi.
Just one quick question through you, Mr. Chairman. Is the garage existing? It is. Okay, that's all. That's all I wanted to know. Thanks.
Any other questions? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that application number A070/21 located at 140 Centre Street be approved with conditions contained therein.
Moved by member Master, seconded by member Gossi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much. Our next application is application A032/21 at 8763 Bayview Avenue, units 7 to 10. Is there any additional correspondence on this application?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes. We do apologize. We are having some technical difficulties this afternoon. We did receive a letter of support February 10th from 8763 units 11 and 12.
And our applicant.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
My name is Sam of SH Design. I'm the agent representing my clients at 8763 Bayview Avenue for units 7 to 10. We're here before you today requesting relief from the provision of the bylaw as amended to permit a total of 281.99 square meters of gross commercial floor area dedicated to a medical dental use, whereas the bylaw permits no more than 232 square meters, which is 20% of the gross commercial floor area, to be occupied by medical uses. In summary, the commercial uses permitted on the ground floor, which is totaling 1,160 square meters, or a combined total of 23 units. Such units comprise of 10 retail commercial uses, totaling 826 square meters, 3 medical offices totaling of 197.7 square meters, 2 vacant units, which are units 13 and 16. Those are totaling 52 square meters, and a total of 84.29 square meters, which is the unit in question, which is unit 7 to 10. The development proposal is to permit a medical dental office with 1 practitioner only, totaling 84.29 square meters of GFA in units 7 to 10. A total of 197 square meters of commercial GFA currently exists in the medical office uses. As such, the proposed addition of dental office of 84.29 square meters will provide a total combined area of 281.99 square meters, exceeding the maximum permitted medical offices by only 50 square meters, or only 4.31%. I would like to bring to committee's attention that we have retained urban trans engineering as requested by the city in order to complete a parking justification study. And over the past 6 to 8 months, we have been working together with city planning staff and transportation department in regard to clarifying parking requirements as requested, excuse me. Based on the justification study by Urban Trans, the study concludes that the existing parking supply of 45 parking spaces located on the ground floor and the underground level, which is P1 level, currently provided and shared between residential commercial tenants are justified based on justification and parking surveys undertaken. In summary, we believe that the general intent of the bylaw will be maintained. The general intent of purpose of the official plan will be maintained. The requested variances is desirable for the development of the land, minor in nature, and meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act. Therefore, considering staff's report and presentation, we respectfully ask committee members for approval of our application made before you today. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 8763 Bayview Avenue?
Mr. Chair, yes, we have Lucia Kim from 8763 Bayview Avenue, Unit 123.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm one of the commercial unit tenants. I own 2 of the units on the north side of the building. And I don't know where he got the 45 parking from, because I personally counted the parking spots. And there are only 23 available above ground, because 2 or 3 of the above ground spots are always being tied up by garbage bins. And management will not remove those bins on certain days, and they tend to just keep them closed off. So that's 2 or 3 spots there. The underground units, there are 12 underground units, but they're not accessible to the general public. Unless you have a fob to get into the underground, you actually have to walk down the driveway to open the garage, because it senses you, and then you can go in. So you can come out of the building, you can go down to the underground, you can come out of the building, but you cannot get back in because there is no concierge. This building does not have a concierge service. So there's nobody at a front desk who can allow customers in and out of the building in order to access the underground parking. So if you remove the extra 12 underground parking, you only have really 23 above ground. And then in the winter, again, 2 or 3 more spots are taken up by snowbanks because the snow can't be removed anywhere else. So because I'm one of the commercial units, I've been here 4 years, and parking has been an ongoing struggle. So you're looking at 23 above ground spots. There are 23 commercial units. So theoretically, if every owner occupied 1 unit, there is no spots available for residents or customers. I'd like to know how the parking situation was tallied at 45, because I have a little map here which I've actually drawn out for all the spots that are available, and really there are only 23 above ground that we all have to share.
Well, we have not, to the best of my knowledge, seen anything to do with the parking study. So maybe the applicant can address that issue for us, please.
In regards to the parking spots, we have obtained, an engineering company that went out there and they've done their due diligence in regards to that. Based on, based on what I was advised from the company is that the servers out, they have counted for 45 parking spots in between upstairs and downstairs.
Right,
in
so the
regards to
downstairs spots, were the engineers aware that there's no access for people who are not residents of the building? Even commercial unit owners, we do not have fobs. Unless you own a parking spot in the main residential parking area, which is, again, gated off, there's no way into the building. And so you cannot access your car in the underground unless somebody physically has to let you in. So it makes sense if a resident allows a visitor to come in because they'll be allowing the resident into their apartment and back down the elevator. But people who have to access the outside to get to a commercial unit will have no way of getting back in unless they physically walk down the ramp, which I can't imagine seniors wanting to do that. Can I meet with the engineers, please? So you can tell me how these parking spots were, how this was evaluated?
Thank you for your concern. Let me just ask our planning department to see if we can get some further information on this parking study. Do we have any further information on the parking study?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the parking study was reviewed by our transportation staff. In terms of the parking requirement, they do meet the bylaw, and at the time of construction, this would have all been reviewed and approved through the applicable development applications.
So as far as the numbers are concerned, we're okay as far as the bylaw is in relation to the numbers of parking spots that are provided. What I'm hearing a problem with, if you agree, is actually being able to use those spots if they're being locked off with restricted access.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, in terms of how they
Use the spots?
Yeah, use the spots on this side, I wouldn't be familiar with that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. I'm going to ask if the other gentlemen on our committee have any questions or concerns about this particular issue. I know I do. Yes, Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. It sounds like we're dealing here with an existing parking issue, and it always gets a little tricky with these commercial sites where you have a condo management company. It sounds as though the unit holders should be conducting a meeting with the condo management to try and sort out the issues that they're having with snow and access to the basement, et cetera, to be able to utilize these spaces a little bit more effectively. Staff have indicated that the bylaw is being met, so the required parking spaces and the provided parking spaces are consistent with the bylaw. The request is to add 50 additional square meters. That's 500 square feet. So I don't think that's going to grossly impact the situation. I think we're dealing with a parking situation that's existing already. So from my perspective, I don't have any major issues, but I do thank Lucia Kim there for bringing this to our attention. And her letter, I think she hit the nail on the head in terms of having conversations and dialogue with the property management company. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gossi, I saw you with your hand up there earlier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So during the presentation, I heard that there's going to be one practitioner in an office. Now there's going to be 3 units, if I'm not mistaken. Actually 4 units. So there's going to be 4 units with 1 practitioner. How many chairs and dental hygienists and staff are there going to be there? I'm just looking at the Google Maps of it, and I don't know what time this was taken, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of traffic on the street in the parking lot at this time. But I got about maybe 28 to 30 spots above ground. And I have a serious concern about whether or not there's going to be sufficient parking, especially for a 4-unit medical office.
Thank
And I
you.
understand that there's a parking study done, but my question then becomes, is that parking study considering how those spaces are being allocated and if they're available to the general public? Because that's really who we're trying to serve here, right?
Thank you. Mr. Master.
A quick comment on the academics and practicality of the situation. To me, it's clear that, bylaw wise and technical counting of parking space wise, they are in compliance. But from Ms. Kim's reports and from what I can see, the reality is quite different. The access to underground is not available. With the dumpsters and the snowbanks, parking has been seriously compromised. So adding any more area, and I also know that medical offices require more parking than regular office space. So I have a bit of difficulty supporting this in that regards. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
If I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Just to answer a couple of the questions that were brought to our attention in regards to the parking spaces and so forth. Just to point out a couple of items that were brought to our attention by our parking study. One item was brought is that some of the parking spaces, parking about four, sorry, if I may read the article that was sent, if you don't mind, just give me 1 second here, where it says, it has been observed during the parking utilization survey that a maximum of 4 parking spaces within an hour are being utilized by drivers accessing the park trail illustrated, the park trail that's in the back. So 4 of those parking spaces are being utilized by somebody that's not even occupying the building. So that's something that should be brought to the landlord's attention. There is a private property sign, and so that does occupy 4 parking spaces. The other thing that the parking study brought to our attention as well too is that there are public parking on the street off of Bayview Avenue. And what that sort of also indicates is that, sorry if I might read that to you as well. There's on-street parking that's also permitted along Bayview Avenue for a maximum of 3-hour limit, except for Monday through Friday between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. So that also does provide additional parking spaces. And the other is based on the bylaw, which is amended bylaws ZBL 2413. It does indicate that for commercial and office use, you require 2.5 parking spaces per 100 square meters of GFA, which is the same use whether you're using it for offices, a dental office, or you're using it for a medical office. There was no different identification for medical in regards to commercial in this case, in this bylaw. So it's the same use. It is an existing, we are occupying an existing commercial space within the existing building. And based on the number of chairs, just to answer Mr. Gassi, there was a total, yes, it is, with unit 7 to 10. It's not a large unit based on, the square footage of it. We do have a total of maximum 3 chairs in there.
Okay, thank you very much. It seems
May I
to
add
me
something?
that this will be the last comment, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Regarding the parking on Bayview Avenue, it's only available until 3 p.m. and that was shortened because it's caused quite a bit of a problem for cars because Bayview Avenue heading north is that can be quite hard to keep the speed enforcement. So cars are speeding up Bayview, and there's been complaints by both residents and just people in the area that parking there really isn't feasible. So we use it. We're lucky enough to have it, and we really do need it. However, it can't be relied on because most dental and medical offices do not only work until 3 p.m. So that is also something that you need to consider. And like I said, I've been there 4 years. I've lived through it, and this is something that really needs to be studied. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I just?
Sorry, no, sorry.
No problem.
I think we're going to discuss this amongst ourselves now. Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have another speaker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We do have Marty from 8763 Bayview, Unit 122.
Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, hi, yes, I am a neighbor to Dr. Kim, actually, and I am a dental hygienist occupying a unit in the building of 600 square feet. I've been there 3+ years. And again, I have a problem with the math. I counted, like Dr. Kim, I counted 33 spots as well. I also have to point out there's not 3, there's already 4 healthcare locations existing, psychotherapy, orthotic, myself, and an optometry clinic. Those 4 are medical. The man quoted his commercial study saying that the bylaw only asks for 2 in major office commercial. I have a copy of the bylaw and it states that it's 5.4 up to a maximum of 6.75 parking spots designated per 100 square feet. And I, as an independent dental hygienist, I have a 2-chair operatory already existing, which I invested greatly into. And my patients struggle with parking as it is on a regular basis. And I know even myself as a strictly independent person, I have 2 other partners at one time. So you add myself and 2 others plus patients, the parking is a serious situation. And like Dr. Kim says, my patients can't access the underground. Most of them are elderly. They can't get up and down. The access to the street parking is it's dangerous. And again, it closes off at 3 p.m. And people can't earn a living if they're doing business up until 3 p.m. And so I have a real problem with the study, actually. I think it should be produced so people could evaluate it fairly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gossi.
Through you, Mr. Chair, quick question for Ms. Kim and Ms. Fries. Did at any time the applicant attempt to review this with any of the tenants or any of the unit holders? I'm just trying to understand, was this just kind of done on the side and everybody was notified once they received notices? Or
I got noticed. I saw a poster on the wall at the unit. So I reached out to the city myself.
Actually, I received the information from my neighbor, from Ms. Fries. So that's how I first heard about it. Otherwise, I would not know about it.
So through you, Mr. Chair, just a question for the applicant. Did you make any effort to contact anybody directly and answer their concerns directly before the committee?
We have not, sir.
Okay.
We have been working with the city, strictly with the city in regards to their requirements. We had submitted for a building permit to that. They came back with the deficiency for the 50 square meters. We've submitted to committee, and we've been dealing with transportation in regards to satisfying requirements. We've hired, a third-party engineering company to provide us with the report. And we're just basing the information that we received from a third-party company, and that was reviewed by the Planning and Transportation Department.
Okay, one last question through you, Mr. Chair. Can we receive any reconciliation on the fact or on the statement from Ms. Fries regarding the number of spots per unit area? There seems to be some discretion there.
That'd be a question that we can direct to our planning department.
Thank you, Chair.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I am looking at what I believe is the amending bylaw. I'm not the zoning examiner, so I can't confirm that this is the exact zoning. However, based on the bylaw that was quoted in the staff report from 2013, being bylaw 24-13, I have here that it's 2.5 spaces per 100 square meters of gross floor area. However, this is not confirmation that that is the applicable. I don't have that information within the staff report.
Thank you.
So one last comment through you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Fries, can you just repeat that bylaw number? Does the number that Ms. Mauder?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't sound the same. I have bylaw 5.14 vehicle parking, and it states non-residential parking spaces per 100 square meters. Point I1. It says 2.0 to 2.5, and then number 4, Roman numeral 4, medical office / clinic says 5.4, and then maximum of 6.75 parking spots per 100 square meters. And I have that, I believe, I'm not really into the politics, but I believe it's parking number 5.14 is the bylaw number or the permit number. That's what I found in my search on the Richmond Hill website.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman.
I have one question for our applicant,
Yes.
and that would be, are those units 7 to 10 currently occupied or are they vacant?
They are vacant, sir.
They're
They were
vacant.
occupied. They were occupied prior to the new owner purchasing the units. So currently they are vacant as we are waiting for our building permits and committee approval.
I'm going to make a suggestion here that it might behoove us to defer this particular application until we can see a copy of this parking study and make sure that everything is all up to par. I'm also going to suggest that they take the time to have a word with your management people there to make sure that you can actually use the spaces that are being allocated. And I'm going to suggest that the deferral would probably be done at no cost to the applicant. And I'm going to offer that as a suggestion to our committee members. Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would add another request to the deferral that we confirm if the medical parking bylaw applies to this site or not, because going from 2.5 parking spaces per 100 square meter to 5 parking spaces per 100 square meter might trigger another variance. So I would like planning to confirm that as well.
Okay.
That's my
Any
request.
other comments from our committee members? And to our applicant, would you be okay with the deferral, sir?
Absolutely.
Okay. In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that application A032/21 located at 8763 Bayview Avenue, units 7 to 10, be deferred to the end of the year or sooner, with requests that we all get circulated the parking study and we get confirmation that the medical office parking requirement is reconfirmed at 2.5 and it is not 5 parking spaces per 100 square meters. Should we add anything else, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Duretzi.
Yeah, I would, through you, Mr. Chairman, I would add that we have some acknowledgement that there's been some communication between the unit holders and the condo management company, because all's fine and done with the technical numbers and they could come back with another variance for a reduction in parking, but we still haven't solved the issue for the tenants or owners.
So we
You
will
okay with
add,
that, Mr. Master?
yes, we will add another condition that the applicant consult their neighbors and other tenants in this regard.
And the management, the building management.
And the condo management, yeah.
Right, okay. Very good. And second, moved by member Master, seconded by member Gossi, all in favor? I see 4 hands. Okay, it's deferred. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you,
Thank
gentlemen. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Our next application is application A063/21, at 15 Orlon Crescent. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Chair, we do not.
Thank you. And our applicant. It looks like our applicant's mic is muted.
Shall I write a note to him? Because he can't hear us. Just a second.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you. Thank you.
Sorry, I have to disconnect my other feed. Okay, I apologize. I tried, I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me. Yes, Ali Shakiri, 326 Shepherd Avenue East. And we are asking for front yard variance. The main front yards actually to the main corners, both main corners of the building comply, actually exceeding the 9 meters, but the variance is the result of the curvature for the front yard. So the front lot line is on a curvature and that is causing the variance. The corners of the building also correspond with the both neighbors on either side. And as I said, it's a technical variance. I have no further comment, but happy to answer any question.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 15 Orlon Crescent?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. And do we have any further comments from our planning department?
Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? In that case, I'm happy to entertain a motion. Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I move that minor variance application A063/21 at 15 Orlon Crescent be approved, subject to the terms and conditions in the city's staff report.
Moved by member Duretzi, seconded by member Master. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next application is application A085/21 at 386 Palmer Avenue. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Mr. Chair, we do not.
Thank you. And our applicant.
Oh, hi, good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Frank May, the May Associates Architects. I am an applicant and the architect on behalf of the owner of 386 Palmer Avenue. First of all, I want to thank you to Jamie, and she gave me the zoning information when I started the design. Okay, by the way, happy birthday to you. So I do have the presentation materials. Can I share my screen or someone from your end can share the screen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Frank, did you send us the materials? Because we don't seem to have them.
Okay, can I share my screen?
We would have to share it on your behalf. Did you want to send it to us? That's okay with our chairman. It might take a minute, but if you send it to us, we can bring it up and share it on your behalf.
Yeah, share it on my behalf. Actually, I sent the material to Linda yesterday.
Okay, let's, to you, Mr. Chair, if you want to, we do apologize. We don't seem to have it right at this time, but if you send it to us, then we will definitely share it on your behalf.
Because right now I'm in the middle of the meeting. Not sure I can send it right now. And, I mean, sometimes when this Zoom meeting happened, I have some like a button to click and share my screen on it.
Mr. Grassi.
For you, Mr. Chair, can we just move this application to the end of the meeting and then continue?
Would that make sense to you, Jamie?
Sure, through you, Mr. Chair, that's fine. Is that,
Will you give our applicant the time to send the information to you and we can pick it up at the end of the meeting?
Jamie, can I send it to you now? Okay, so we'll be waiting on at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
just give me 1 second, Mr. Chair. I will.
Oh.
There we go.
Here it is. Yes.
Well done.
Okay, thanks God.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Technology at its best.
Okay, so that's the cover page for the presentation, and then we can move to the next page. Next page is to show the property location. The property location is located south of the Major Mac and west of the Bayview. And go to next page, please. Okay, so this page is just having its own map and to show the current property is under the residential R2 with the city of Richmond Hills zoning map. And the next page, please. Okay, so this is show the existing bungalow house sitting on that property, and the right side photos just to show that the notice of the public hearing signs erect in front of the property. Next page, please. And that this is the proposed single detached house on the existing property land. The house is like a 2-story with a 2-car garage. Next page, please. This one is the proposed site plan. As you can see, the blue highlights is show the footprint of existing bungalow and the single-car garage, and they do have the independent tool shed on the backyard. And the green is the proposed landscape lawn, and the gray hatch is the new proposed single house. Next page, please. So the proposed house is a typical 2-car garage with the living room, dining room, kitchen, family room, and the breakfast on the ground floor. And they do have the mud room and the powder on the ground floor as well. At the basement, they do have the open basement with the mechanical room and the bathroom, and some future bar area in the future. Next page, please. This page is show the proposed second floor. As you can see, they have the master bedroom on the back portion of the house with the walk-in closet and the in-suite, and they do have another 3 bedrooms at the second floor. That's a typical 2-story single house. Next page, please. So the deficiency for this design is we do have the side yard deficiency. there is the 1.5 meters side yard, east side yard setback for the 2-story. The reason being for this is the footprint of existing bungalow is 1.5 meters from the east side yard. Another deficiencies for the front yard setback is we proposed 6.7 meters for the house front setback and 6.1 meters for the car garage setback. The existing established building line is 8.85, which is the line measured from the neighbor's existing bungalow. That's a second deficiency. The third deficiency is gross floor area. The proposed gross floor area is about 333 square meter, and the maximum one is 232 square meter. The last deficiency is lot coverage, and then we proposed 42% for this house. And I understood that the design was cross the line based on all these deficiencies. And however, I hope this is not too much cross the line, and I'm hoping this can be acceptable. If community of board members have concerns, please, and I can quickly answer concerns and questions. The major concern is about the gross floor area, because since pandemic and the COVID-19, people is eager to having a big home for their living, because most of them right now, all of us is working from home. So that's the reason the owner want having a little bit extra space for the house. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 386 Palmer Avenue?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any further comments from planning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? Mr. Agassi.
Through you, Mr. Chair. The variance on the maximum lot coverage being 12.08% over the bylaw requirement is one of the largest in recent memory for me. Is there any other properties on that street that have that type of variance that has been assigned, or any recent, builds? Is there, a map or a comparison for us to see that? That sounds egregious, 12.08%. And then my fear becomes that, this type of application can be used as, a precedent for new applications coming through the committee, where somebody's asking 13, 14%, effectively 12.08% is a 35% increase in the size of the home over the bylaw requirements.
Do we have any information like that from our planning department? Any similar homes around the area?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I don't have a prepared list of similar homes in the area. What I can offer is that there are varying lot sizes and different sized dwellings, and this area is certainly under transition. If this is something that the committee wishes, I can certainly look into it, but I don't have that immediately on hand.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mr. Chair, I do have the samples. The sample, yes, as Mr. Grossi mentioned, this one is the lot coverage is over. I did some research. There is the one reasonably improved. Their total gross floor area is about 323. So if that's the case, I can negotiate or discuss with the owner and cut down the total gross floor area down and to satisfy the city's concern.
You're talking gross floor area, and I think Mr. Gossi's talking about lot coverage. Mr.
Yes,
Gossi?
that one also can be reduced a little. If it's 40% can be acceptable, I can fully cooperate with the town and the city to reduce the lot coverage.
Thank you. Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, if I can just elaborate a little bit on this issue, I understand Mr. Gossi's concern. It was a concern of mine at first glance until I looked a little bit deeper into the lot. It is a 50-foot lot. So from the perspective of the streetscape and the impact, being a 3,500 square foot home, it's not a 4,500 square foot home. My concerns were diminished somewhat. It's also a shallow lot, like it's not very deep. It's only 100 feet. And that has a tendency to bring the gross floor area up higher when you're dealing with a lot that's not as deep. So if you look at it in its entirety, I don't particularly have an issue with it. We've got subsequent agendas this evening at 37%. We've got another one at 45%. But looking at it independently on its own, given that it's only a 100-foot lot and 3,500 square foot home on a 50-foot frontage, I don't have an issue with it.
Thank you. Any further comments, gentlemen? In that case, I'll entertain a motion.
Nobody wants to move today.
Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that application number A085/21 located at 386 Palmer Avenue be approved with conditions contained therein.
Moved by member Master, seconded by member Duretzi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and the board members. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Good evening, sir. Our next application is application A086/21 at 521 Lynnette Crescent. Do we have any further correspondence on this application?
Mr. Chair, yes, and we do apologize again for our technical difficulties this afternoon. We received 3 letters of opposition, 268 Neil Drive, 264 Neil Drive, and 23 Ambler Lane. There was nothing in particular that they were opposing. They were just opposing in general the whole application.
So we have 3 letters of objection then. Okay. Thank you. And our applicant.
Good evening, Ali Shakiri again. For the record, my address again is 326 Shepherd Avenue East. So we are here before you with another single dwelling. We're asking to increase the coverage from 30% to 37%, also reducing the side yards. The last 2 variances are only related to the stairs from the rear deck and 2 of the stairs on the front porch. We've been in contact with the planning department and I'm glad to see that they are recommending approval. I have further comments, but I'm happy to answer any question.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 521 Lynnette Crescent?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. And planning department, do we have any further comments from our planning department?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Duretzi. I think the tie was just a little bit behind.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I would move, yes, Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd move the minor variance application A086/21 at 521 Lynnette Crescent be approved subject to the terms and conditions in the city's staff report.
Moved by member Duretzi, seconded by member Gossi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Our next application is application A081/21 at 16 Menotti Drive. Do we have any further correspondence on this application? Sorry.
Mr. Chair, we do not.
Thank you. And our applicant.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Chair and committee. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Great. So I'm Manny DeCuna from Countrywide Homes at King South Inc. At 1500 Highway 7. Here to represent the application, to answer any questions. We're simply asking for increased coverage, an increase of 5.4%. From what's allowed in the zoning, and we've received the information from all the departments and see that there's no objections, and we're in agreement with paying for the fee related to the TRCA. And again, just wanted to be available to answer any questions regarding the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 16 Menotti Drive?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. And from our planning department, any comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Gossi.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve item F, minor variance application A081/21 at 16 Menotti Drive, subject to conditions in the staff report.
Moved by member Gossi, seconded by member Duretzi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night. Our next applications, application B028/21, A078/21, and A079/21, all at 55 Harding Boulevard. Do we have any further correspondence on these applications?
Mr. Chair, we do not.
Thank you. And our applicant.
Morning, Jonathan Binskowski. I'm a planner with Solark here on behalf of the owner.
Good evening.
Good evening. This is an application for consent that was actually approved back in 2017 with identical matching frontage as well as lot area. There was an issue with the registration of the lots, and we're back here as the conditions of consent were not able to be fulfilled within the full 2 years of registering the lots. So it's a fairly straightforward case of a 2017 approval for the consent that has previously been approved. In terms of the variances, there is a couple of changes to the previously approved variances. There is a modest increase in coverage from what was previously approved of 2.92%, as well as an increase in the gross floor area of approximately 80 square meters, as well as a small increase in height of about 1.2 meters. Now, in terms of the variances and how it fits the built form of the neighborhood itself, if we could bring up the proposed site plan.
There we go.
Thank you. The site plan, please. Perfect. If we see the site plan here, we see the rear yard setbacks essentially match the dwellings both to the east and the west. So in terms of the built form as well as front yard setback is all in keeping with the neighborhood. The reduction in the side yard setback is consistent with both the dwellings to the east and the west, and the rear main wall is also consistent with them. And then I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address these three applications at 55 Harding Boulevard?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And any further comments from planning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? I see none. Oh, Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, just wanted to clarify that site plan that the applicant had on the screen. Is that site plan different than what is in the staff report? For some reason, it looked like those units were pushed further ahead, advanced from the existing homes that were on either side of it, but yet what was attached in the staff report seems to have favored the established front yard setback of the building envelopes on the left and right side. So I know you mentioned that there are some deviations from the previous one. I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing here. Are we honoring the established lot lines, or did you actually move them a little bit further forward?
No, through you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Duretzi, the site plan I have in the staff report has a diagonal line honoring that prevailing front yard setback going east to west on the angle.
Yes.
Yes, so that is the site plan contained within the staff report that does continue that established front yard setback with the zoning bylaw of the averaging on the east and the west. So
Okay, yeah, just it appeared to me, maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me. What you put on the screen looked different.
I think it might have been some of the hatchings or the grays that may have got a little lost, but the site plan contained in the staff report is definitely the site plan we would like to proceed with, which carries that averaging of the setbacks of the east and the west with that diagonal line. And even there's a small notation on the right and the left of it that says line of the established building line according to 6.1.2.3 of bylaw 6671.
Very good, Jonathan. Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you.
Any further questions? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I move that application numbers, let me get them all, B028/21, A078/21, and A079/21, all located at 55 Harding Avenue Boulevard, be approved with conditions contained therein and in conformance with the drawings attached. Thank you.
Moved by member Master, seconded by member Gossi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. Thank you very much. It's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll turn it back to our Secretary Treasurer to let us know when we can proceed with the other business issues.
Mr. Chair, we have item J, consent application B2921.
We're going to deal with that now, or do you want to? 123 Oak Avenue. Did you want to deal with that now?
No, we have another consent application on the agenda, item J.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's at 32 Angling Drive.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. Why am I missing that report? Hang on a second. Might have got caught up in staples here. Oh, my apologies. Our next application is application B029/21 at 32 Anglin Drive. Do we have any further correspondence on this application?
Mr. Chair, we do not.
Thank you. And our applicant.
Good evening to everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. I'm Francesco Fiorani from Bruto Planning Consultant Ltd. We are the planning consultants on behalf representing our clients this evening for this consent application. So with that said, let's start. Next slide, please. So to keep it short and straightforward, the proposed consent is to sever the existing 4,020 square meter single detached family lot into two lots. The retained easterly lot will have a lot frontage of 18.72 meters, a depth of 60.87 meters, and an area of 1,418.92 square meters. That is in conformity with the provisions of the zoning bylaw. The severed westerly lot will have a lot frontage of 18.3 meters and a depth of 84.11 meters and an area of 2,601.87 square meters. This is also in conformity with the provisions of the zoning bylaw. Both proposed lots, as I said before, conform to the zoning bylaw with regards to lot area and lot frontage, which means both lot fabrics won't require a minor variance or a rezoning. Also, as mentioned in the staff report, the proposed lot fabric is also in keeping with the pattern of the neighborhood. This is a neighborhood on Anglin Drive made up of large single detached lots. We are not proposing anything dissimilar. So given the aforementioned, we have read the staff report and the recommended conditions, and we agree with the recommendation that this consent application be approved. And on the next slide, you will see the severance that is proposed before you today. With that said, that is our presentation, and if we look forward to any questions or comments committee may have tonight.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 32 Anglin Drive?
To you, Mr. Chair, yes, we have Lynn Wang.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm the neighbor for 32 Anglin Drive. I'm just concerned for today for the hearing. Is it for the land division or for the new construction for the two house?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch your question there. It sounded like you have a question about the reason for.
Yeah, I'm just concerned for today's for the notice of hearing. Is it for the new building or for only for the land division? Yeah, because I only got the mail for today, so the time is so pressing. So I'm not sure for the today's here's commitment. Is it for land division or for the new construction, the two house?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I may be able to help.
Yes, please.
So the notice of public hearing, Ms. Wang, right now tonight, they are proposing to divide the property. They're not looking to build anything on the two properties. They're just looking to divide it at this.
Oh, I got it. Okay, I got it. Only for the land, not for the building. Okay.
Thank you. That's right.
Yeah,
no issue. At this point in time, it's only for the land. Yes.
Oh, only for the land. Okay. Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Do we have any further concerns from our audience?
After you, Mr. Chair, we have none.
And from our planning department, any concerns?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Okay, thank you. I do have one though, and that is I don't have a copy of that plan showing the division of the property, which is the last slide that was presented to us. I have 9 pages of report here, but I don't have a copy of a drawing. Are we going to have a problem with trying to approve this severance in the absence of a drawing? That's a question to our Secretary Treasurer.
You don't have this?
No. Where did you find that?
It's attached to the staff report through you, Mr. Chair. Perhaps yours, you did not print it off, or it was not attached.
I got 9 pages. How many pages have you got?
Well, 9 is labeled.
Page number. What's your page number for that plan?
Well, the page numbers go to 9, and then there's some supplementary copies, Conservation Authority, plus the sketch.
And that's added on. I don't have that.
Yes.
Okay.
To you, Mr. Chair, I also don't have those.
I'm sorry?
9 pages.
You don't have those additional pages either?
No, I don't.
How about you, Mr. Gossi? Yes.
Yeah, I actually do have them, Mr. Chair.
Okay, fair enough. Now I'm going to rely on you two gentlemen to tell me, are you comfortable with those, with that information that's been presented to you? Mr. Gossi.
I personally am, Mr. Chair. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I move that item J, consent application B029/21 at 32 Anglin Drive is approved subject to conditions in the staff report.
Moved by member Gossi, seconded by member Duretzi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the members of committee.
Thank you. And now I will refer back to our Secretary Treasurer to let us know when we can deal with other business.
Mr. Chair, I'll be right back.